Hello, people! Thanks for joining me for another edition of Dingville, Tennessee. I'm Scott, and this is a 2010 PRS Custom 24 fretter, and it's got a ding down here on the body. And like we say in the guitar repair world, the fretter, the better. He gave me a call and said he was coming up to Nashville from, I think it was Mississippi, and that, you know, what had happened to the guitar, and he wanted to see if he could get it fixed, and he was even thinking of sending it all the way back to Maryland to have PRS redo the entire thing. And I thought, well, that seems like an awful waste of money and time and effort to send a guitar all the way back to where it was made and pay $1,000 to have it redone. Well, we could just drop fill the ding in Dingville, Tennessee with some blue. Oh guys, I've got a lot of new stuff to show you today. New materials, new techniques, new tools. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be glad you tuned in and stuck around till the end. We'll also be doing a setup on this because we don't like the way that tremolo is angled. You want it sit a little more parallel, and the action's a little funny. It's just not playing as good as it should. The first thing I always do is I come in and I measure the neck relief. And this gauge allows me to measure the neck relief at the 7th fret, and that's with the leg standing on the 1st fret and on the 13th fret, and it's pretty much dead flat. Let me zoom in so you can see. As I'm kind of rocking it back and forth, it'll change the number from 0 to -1. So I'd kind of say this guitar has one 1/1000th of an inch of neck relief, which is, for all intensive purposes, we could just say this neck is dead flat. And there's a little confusion on how this gauge works right now because people get confused. But when it plunges downward, it goes into the negative. If the neck were in a back bow and this plunged upward, it would go positive. Now there's no plus sign to show you that it's in the positive. There's only a negative sign when it's in the negative. So a neck with relief shows a negative number, and a neck that's straight shows 0, and a neck that's back bowed shows a positive number. All right. If you want one of these, they're $200 on the luthgroup.com. And it's called the Proppers Neck Relief Gauge. And it does a bunch of cool stuff. It's for ultimate precision while doing fret work and setups and neck resets. The string action at the 12th fret is 5/64 on the bass E and 5/64 on the treble E. The string gauge is 10 through 48 is what it's reading, but that measures 11 thousandths, and that measures 48. You see? It looks like 11 through 48 based on this, but like I said, strings can vary slightly depending on how much corrosion, and if they get corroded enough, some of the rust falls off, and it can measure, like a 10 gauge string can measure 7 sometimes if the rust has caused some of the material to fall off of the string on a high E if it gets real rusty, you know what I'm saying? When the the back of the tremolo or bridge kicks back, sometimes it lowers the action a little bit. But we can lower it a couple different ways. By the way, he dropped this guitar at a gig years ago and smashed this whole thing. This guitar used to be a real dark blue, but he sent it back to PRS and they decided to go ahead and paint it black. They painted the entire back of the guitar with the polyester finish. They told him it was it was during the poly times. Now they've gone back to lacquer in more recent years. So he called the PRS factory just to verify for us, but I'm going to do a test area anyways just so we can see. Another fancy tool is the DeWalt gyroscopic screwdriver. You just turn your wrist and it starts moving. I just used it as a screwdriver, but now I'm going to use it as a tuner. And some guys say, hey, you can do this stuff without fancy tools. Yeah, you can. But you know what? Repetitive motion over and over, day in and day out, can cause tendinitis, carpal tunnel, and fatigue, and also inflammation. And being an old guy, I'm able to do this stuff non-stop every day with no symptoms at all because I'm mindful of my body mechanics and what not to do. And my wife's an occupational therapist, so they know their shit. And I've been coached by occupational therapists and physical therapists for 30 years now. So I don't know, dudes. I'm starting to think put a pack of 11s on here to, and it screwed up his setup. I had another customer who bought Ernie Ball 10 packs of 10 through 40 or 9 through 46, and they were 11s. He kept bringing them to me and saying, anyway, it doesn't hurt to have one of those calipers measure your string gauge. Because I've got two guitars in here right now that are messed up because they got the wrong string gauge on them. Another thing people always say is, you don't need that fancy workstation to work on your guitar. You can just do it on a bench. And yeah, but can your bench hold the guitar on its side nicely? I don't think so. But anyways, damn, that one ball's not coming out. If you ever do that stupid thing that I just did, cut the string off too close to the saddle, and you can't get it out, just take an old coat hanger, straighten it out, and push it right through. So a lot of people, back to that fancy equipment stuff. Oh, look at that. It's got a date on it. 2008. It's the 1957 PRS USA. We don't need all this fancy equipment and the best materials in the world to do this repair I'm doing today, but people don't drive their guitar across 3 states and risk their life to bring a guitar to a guy that uses homemade tools and the cheapest stuff he can get his hands on. They look for the guy that spares no expense and uses the best and has the best stuff, best tools, best workstations, uses the finest materials. These people care about these guitars. They're going to go through any length to get them fixed and back in proper working order. This area right here under the humbucker ring I'm going to test this area with Simple Green on a Q-tip, and this is just straight Simple Green out of the jug. Usually water-based, well, we'll just say water, H2O of any sort, will cloud organic finishes like lacquer, but it won't do much to synthetic finishes besides clean it. It didn't create a cloud there. Doesn't seem to be creating a cloud. It looks unscathed, like a sheet of plastic. That's what a synthetic finish is, pretty much a sheet of plastic. Next, now I've dropped 3 drops of acetone on the other side of that Q-tip, and I'm going to rub real hard right here. Again, this is under the humbucker pickup ring, and see if the finish starts to cloud, dissolve, scratch, mar. No, it still looks like a shiny piece of plastic. So it is poly. All right. Now that we know we're safe using whatever we'd like to use to clean and go at it, we'll start filling in the ding. First, I'll clean the area with Simple Green on a Viva paper towel. There's 2 kinds of paper towel that you're safe rubbing on a poly finishes. I like the Viva, but there's also the Scott Blue brand of paper towel, shop towel. It's more linen-like, and it's not scratchy like an everyday paper towel. Everyday Strong, Bounty, etc., etc. I'll use those too for certain tasks, but I keep both handy. Alright, now that it's clean, let's get the Glu+Boost. Now that I understand what type of clear finish is over this wood, I wouldn't use lacquer, polyurethane, shellac, or cheap super glue from Loctite or whatever brand of crazy glue. I would not use any of that stuff for a few reasons. I wouldn't use any other accelerator besides this glue dry. Or you might get a blushing, which is will leave a big white spot on your guitar where you're trying to do a nice repair, but you'll have just a big old white spot because it blushed from a cheap accelerator. And if you use cheap super glue, it'll become brittle and it might crack. This stuff stays flexible over its lifetime and it doesn't blush. So like it says right here, it's non-blushing, and that's really important. And this has rubber in it, so it will stay flexible, just like the polyester that's on there. Next, you'll want to come over and inspect the damaged area to see if there's any little chips. I see a little chip right there that might not, it might just be a scratch. It might be okay just, I was going to say I might just try to get out any little chips of anything that might look reflective. Yeah, there's some dust and loose stuff down in here, so maybe this is a brand new X-Acto blade, number 11. I just picked out a few little loose pieces there. But I think when I drop in the Glu+Boost with the blue tint in it, it'll cover up all those. So let's just drop it in. So here it is, the Master Tint Blue. Lifetime supply. I'll never work on enough blue guitars to use all that. Okay, it's only going to take a few drops. It's only going to take the little teeniest little toothpick bit into the CA glue. That's a real light blue. Let's get a little more in there. What the heck? Alright, a little bit more. Alright, we got a medium blue going. I'm happy with the medium blue. Maybe I'll get in there and stir it up a little harder with one of these. This is a micro applicator. It's maybe used for makeup applications. eyelashes, I don't know, lips. Maybe you want to do your eyebrows. But that's what I'm going to use to drop it in. First I'm going to take a hummingbird feeder cleaner and see if I can knock out any of those loose chips. This is very soft. I don't see any loose chips. Let's drop it in. I decided I'm just going to try a toothpick because I didn't want to overdo it. Just want to do a little bit right now. And I don't want to go all the way down to the bottom of the cup with the toothpick because I could pick up a chunk of the blue. And I might want to pull out a little bit of what I just put in there. I just maybe want to pull out a little bit. Leave it down in that little well right there. For the accelerator, I don't want to spray it right on there and get it all wet. I just want to get it in the area. I want to get it out into the air. And the reason for that is sometimes the CA glue will be sitting there all nice and flat in a little puddle, little lake. And as soon as you hit it with the wet stuff, it kicks off too fast and it gets all like the Catskill Mountains. Well, we want it flat like Lake Placid. So we're just gonna kind of mist the air around it. And it'll eventually, over the course of a few minutes, it'll harden. All right, now I've got clear ultra thin right here. And I can kind of see there's a little ring. There's a little ring around that chip. A ring of white stuff. I'm going to have to sand it off. I dropped some simple green on here. And you can see that little white ring around the ding. I'm going to take this Kovacs with the toll cut sandpaper 800 grit and just go at it like this till that white ring goes away. That's a ring around a ding. I'm going to create a little crater, I think, but we'll fill it back in. I decided to bring it over here to the Total Vise number 7 so I could sit down and hold it in a way where I could really concentrate on getting rid of all the little scratches and white bits with that sandpaper. And I decided to drop down a couple grits to 600 grit on a sharp point like that. Ian Davlin taught me how to do that. That was in a StuMac video about 8 years ago. They worked on a ding at Dan Earlywine's shop. Ian went in with a group of students and professionals and worked on some epoxy putty repairs with acoustic guitars, mahogany. But this little thing helps me get in there, and I'm gonna go at it like that. I just went at it for a few seconds and I can see that there's still just a little bit of that ring around the ding. It's going away pretty quick. And my sandpaper ran out real quick. It lost its grit. So I have to cut a new piece. It's actually the same piece, I just trimmed it. Don't want to go too far though. You can go down into the color coat and then down into bare wood. So at some point we just have to stop and say, enough's enough. Okay, I think I'm at that point. I think I'm at the point where I can say there's a little white dot, but I can pick at it there. Now, this polyester is kind of rubbery. With the X-Acto blade, you could cause another little chip of it to lift and cause another white spot, so you don't want to do that. Okay, now I better put the guitar back in a horizontal position and try dropping in the Glu+Boost again. And if you make a mistake with the Glu+Boost, you can clean it up with acetone if needed. What you can do with the glue dry accelerator is maybe spray a little on a Q-tip away from the project and then come over and dab it right here. You can see there's a little moisture on the Q-tip. That way when the Glu+Boost goes in, it'll kind of dry from down below. I've got a little diluted ultra thin right here. A little bit of the blue. And I think the white ring is, you'll see a white ring around it from the scratches, sandpaper scratches, but the poly white ring is no more. So that glue dry, I just sprayed it from about 12 inches away. I didn't get right down on the thing with it. Okay, gave that a little while to dry. Now I've got the glue dry accelerator on a Q-tip once again. I'm going to inspect it real close with my Optivisor on to make sure I don't leave any pieces of fuzz, lint, etc., etc. Looks clean. So I got, once again, I've got clear, ultra thin Glu+Boost, fill and finish, and I'm going to go over top of the whole thing with that. And I'll take the glue dry accelerator from about 12 inches out and give it a spritz. So the other thing I've got going on for me here is vision stuff. I've got these are just a 3-pack of glasses off of Amazon. They're 3 times magnification. You get a 3-pack. You know, the round thing, I just thought I'd give that a try. Here's the Optivisor. Essentially, I get 9 times magnification by wearing the 3 times readers under the Optivisor. I can't see anything without, at least, I mean, up close, everything's a blur for me. So I need at least 3 times magnification just to read this stuff. Here it says it right here, spray the non-blushing glue dry accelerator 10 to 12 inches away from the area, and but they don't tell you the reason for that. It's because of that thing I was telling you. If you hit it and get it too wet too quick, it creates little mountains that you don't want. So much stuff you can do with this. People are using it in all different sorts of wood shops. I'm going to try some of this lacquer shot on another project next week. Cold checking lacquer shot. Get a vintage cracked look without a spray gun. I got to read through this because until now I haven't had this pamphlet. I ordered directly from Glu+Boost and they didn't send me this. I had to get this. I got this from Jesscar. They were the only ones with the Glu+Boost white, and so, you know, I ordered from Jesscar some fret wire and some Glu+Boost white, and this brochure came in the mail.
St. Dennis, what's going on over there?
We're doing a ding today.
combination, right? The page and plant. You can like read books and amongst a bunch of.
So, you want to hear something funny though? His people sent me a box set of Zeppelin albums to, CDs to thank me, right? And I gave them to my girlfriend because I was a fucking jazz snob, right? And then 2 months later, Paige came in and I helped him. And then I went out and I bought every fucking Zeppelin album and started listening to them again.
What's crazy is those albums are like so like they're easy to forget.
Well, these Kovac sandpaper sheets, they come in little squares, and you stick them onto the toll cut block. It's like a hard rubber, almost like a hockey puck, and it's really great for level sanding poly. I work my way up from the lowest grit all the way up to the highest grit. I think it's something like 1,000 through 4,000 or something like that. I use Simple Green as a lubricant to wet sand it, just to make sure. Some people like to just dry sand, but I don't like little corns building up on the sandpaper. They add deeper scratches than you want. The biggest challenge with polyesters is the scratches, I think. Polishing out the scratches. And what I'm going to find out next is that after getting it all polished, level sanded and everything, I don't like the way it looks. It still looks like there's a ring around the ding. There's too much of a light spot, so I'm going to sand it down again and add a little bit of the black fill and finish. I'm just going to add a teeny tiny bit to that little bit of glue, the blue Glu+Boost that I had in the cup, because there's this little dark maple line in the figurings of the maple. There's like dark light, and this ding happens to fall along one of the dark lines. So why not try to darken it just a little bit more? Here I am after I dropped it in, and I'm accelerating it with the glue dry accelerator. Now I'll wet sand it again. And after wet sanding it and polishing it and doing the whole thing for the second time, I'm starting to realize that I never really broke through to the color coat. I was still working in the clear coat, but I was trying to get rid of little cracks and white stuff by adding color. Because on the first blue job that I did, that's where I thought I went wrong. But I'm learning as I go that if I just scratch off, now I'm trying shellac with the alcohol inks because I thought the color of blue was just wrong. But actually where I've gone wrong here is that I really don't need to mask the little white chips with any color of blue at all. All I need to do is get it smooth, because I'm still in the clear coat, and just add clear Glu+Boost into this crater that I'm creating. But I have to make sure it's a smooth crater. So all of this alcohol ink stuff, even though it's a closer match of blue, it's more of a green blue instead of a purple blue, I'm doing it all over again. I mean, if it takes me 4 times to get it right, and if you guys can learn something from watching me make mistakes, then great. But the mistakes are minor, they're not like I'm making the repair bigger. I'm not making a more giant mess of a small repair. I've still kept it very small. We'll accelerate that and let it cure. We'll look at the original Glu+Boost blue compared to the alcohol ink greenish blue that I applied with shellac. Big difference. I realized too after this that if I just add Master Tint Yellow to the blue in a very small amount, that would give me a greenish blue. So as long as I have all the Master Tint colors, I don't need to use shellac. Shellac takes like 20-30 minutes to dry. So if we can keep it all Glu+Boost, we can make sure it cures really quickly. Hopefully this works. Even though I find out in a little bit that it doesn't, and I scratch it all back off and just do a clear drop fill. Alright, so I did the clear drop fill, I level sanded it, I went through all the Kovacs blocks with the toll cut, and I'm polishing it up. We're at the finish line, guys. In between the Ultimate Compound, I used this Clean and Shine guitar polish on a microfiber cloth. And then I switched to the plastic polish, I want to say. Plastex on a Viva paper towel. Even if I don't get all the super fine swirls out right now, I think I'm going to set the guitar up. Because this ding is out of the way of the strings, I can set the guitar up, finish the video, and then in the next week or two, this is what it's going to look like under normal house lighting, away from the LED super bright lights. This is the way it's going to be viewed most of the time. And I think it's going to pass. Let's not forget to loosen that truss rod. We only had 1/1000th of an inch relief at best with the strings on it, and those strings were heavier than the pack that we're putting on there. We're going to put 10 through 46. And we'll loosen that. We'll go from 12 o'clock to 10 o'clock with the truss rod adjustment wrench. Dust off the headstock. Yeah, those strings were 11 through 48, and we're going to go to 10 through 46. So I'm still going to tighten the springs. I'm going to loosen the truss rod. I'm going to lower the bridge and adjust, fine tune each saddle so that we have a really nice uniform string height at the 12th fret on all the strings. I'm going for 4/64 action. All right, the String Tech workstation. Thanks to Mike McConville up in Ontario, Canada, for supplying us all with these great tech decks. We can hold the guitar safely with leather padding, and we don't damage it up worse than it was when it came in. Tuner bushings are loose due to wood shrinkage. That happens over the years. Just want to get them snug. Don't want to reef down on them with a torque wrench or anything crazy. And then this is one of these old school PRS locking tuners. I'm going to tighten those up a little bit. I mean, finger tight should work. I don't know why they have that slotted head to them. I never see a reason to get out a screwdriver for these locking tuners, but it seems like they would put that there for a reason. Yep. So the fine adjustments, a small Allen wrench. My wrench comes from Music City Bridge in Music City, Tennessee. Also known now as Dingville, Tennessee. Well, guys, I got that action down to 4/64. I got the beefing the neck down to 7/1000ths of an inch. I also got that bridge to float and dropped it down a little bit, tightened the springs. Appreciate you guys hanging around, man. I hope to see you next time, and we'll catch you later.